Hello everyone, welcome back to Field of View Sports, and I'm your host Priyanshu Rathee. And I'd really like to start off the second episode by talking about the state of the New England Patriots, and why I think this dynasty has a chance of falling apart starting the next decade. Well, this decade. And I really think the reason is Tom Brady has no help. These wide receivers are dropping passes front and center. Julian Edelman, their number one wide receiver, has dropped. Well, he leads the league in drop passes, and their first-round pick, N'Keal Harry, out for 8 weeks on IR, and then he comes back to just accumulate. I think it's about 101 yards. How is that acceptable? Just think about it. You're 42 years old. You're playing this game, and you're dedicating everything to your team. You're taking pay cuts so your team can surround you with better players. And what ends up happening? You're surrounded with no-name wide receivers, undrafted guys who used to play quarterback, guys who used to play as DBs in college. And, this wouldn't happen on any other team. This is doing of Bill Belichick because he thinks that his system is plug and play. And I think now we're finding out that's not necessarily true. I think Bill Belichick has taken away from his own legacy to a great extent this season by showing that he can't play well when Tom Brady isn't playing well. And I don't think that's a dent on Tom Brady's legacy because we can see that Tom Brady has no help. I mean, his best receiver is a slot receiver. You can't get anything done over the top with a slot receiver. There are no big plays. He has to sustain 16 play drives, 12 play drives, almost like 60 yards down the field, which is a benefit they get from having such a great defense, which we've seen actually isn't all that great. The issues that this defense has have been exposed in this wildcard matchup. Like, we could see that first touchdown of the game came to an undrafted tight end out of Tennessee. And second touchdown of the game, Derrick Henry. This team can't stop the run. And, of course, Derrick Henry's a beast. This is what the AFC is becoming. Run-heavy teams are the ones who are finding the most success. Baltimore Ravens, Tennessee Titans. And I don't think there are two better teams than the Tennessee Titans and the Baltimore Ravens in the NFL right now. This is my ranking. Baltimore Ravens number 1, Tennessee Titans number 2, San Francisco 49ers number 3. And that's just because all these teams have such a great ability to run the ball. And that brings so many things into your control. Like the ability to control the clock, the ability to, in important situations, like when you're trying to run the clock out, the assurance that you're going to get that first down, well, you still have the ability to still run out the clock and destroy any chance of the opponent driving down the field and ending the game. And teams that can't run the ball just don't have that. Like, we can see that the New England Patriots have resorted in certain games to Tom Brady throwing around 50 times, and with no avail. Seeing that Tom Brady is surrounded with all these people makes me think that, obviously, we can see he's the most frustrated that he's been in a long time. And I think that's reason enough for him to leave the season. And, while there are rumors that he's looking for a $30 million contract or a multi-year deal with the New England Patriots, I just don't think that's going to happen considering the way that Bill Belichick runs his team. And while I think it's in the Patriots' best interest to allow Tom Brady to come back for a $30 million deal, it just won't happen. Considering that Bill Belichick runs this team in a way where he thinks it's plug and play, any guy can do it. And that obviously won't end well. I know no other quarterback than Tom Brady would win even 6 games with this team. And for that reason, I think it's necessary for the New England Patriots to keep Tom Brady this offseason. While we're on the topic of AFC East teams, I'd like to talk about the Buffalo Bills. And what I think about the Buffalo Bills is that, they're in prime position to take over the AFC East and, win the division title this year. And for maybe a couple more years. Considering that if Tom Brady leaves, the Patriots won't have their biggest strength. Their ability to not make mistakes. And their ability to keep turnovers to a minimum so the defense can win the game. And while that isn't a very winnable model, isn't a model that's going to get you very far into the playoffs or anything like that, it will win you the division title considering how easy it is to win in the AFC East right now with the Miami Dolphins, the Jets, And well, the Buffalo Bills are easy pickings for Bill Belichick, but I think that's about to change considering how much better these teams are doing. Like the Jets really turned around towards the end of the season, led by Sam Darnold, and so did the Dolphins. I mean, it's a team with a great culture that I think with the two high first round draft picks is just ready to turn around and become, I think, about maybe a 7-win team next year. And I think that's in part due to the fact that the AFC East is not a scary division to be in anymore. We've heard many people talk about it and say that the New England Patriots are no longer scary. And the thing about the presence of the New England Patriots and Tom Brady in the AFC East is that it scares free agents because it's been shown time and time again that even good teams can't win much in that division. And that is a big deterrent for free agents because let's face it, these guys are NFL athletes. They're used to winning. And they want to succeed wherever they go. And that's not possible in a division where you have one team reigning for the last 20 years. And in addition to this, the Bills just have the perfect system to thrive. They have a young quarterback who's he faces pressure really well. Like in my opinion, Josh Allen looked really poised in the first and second quarter of that Texans playoff game. And it looks like he's going to be ready the next time he's there. And I expect next time to be next season. And who knows? Maybe the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen may go further into the playoffs next year. And, that's really what I think about the Buffalo Bills. I think they're in a great position, but they won't be doing anything as long as Tom Brady remains to the Philadelphia Eagles. And, what I really think about this team is one word. Inconsistent. And I really see that because the face of their franchise, the one guy they paid $32 million a year, Carson Wentz on a 4-year, $128 million contract up until 2024. He's always injured. He's never played in the playoffs up until now, and the one game he does make it to the playoffs, he gets injured. I just don't see this as a model where Carson Wentz can succeed with the Philadelphia Eagles, where he doesn't have weapons. The team's always injured, and I think when this many players get injured on your team, I don't think it's a question of bad luck. Your starting quarterback is always injured. Your top wide receivers are always injured. I think this may be a question of what do the Philadelphia Eagles need to be doing with their medical staff. Because let's face it, the Philadelphia Eagles have had some of the worst injuries to affect their seasons, considering that their starting quarterback seems to have a new injury every single season. And that may not be due to the medical staff. It may be due to the fact that Carson Wentz is like a fast car. No, I take that back. He's not like a fast car. He's like a guy who drives a really fast car. In his fast car, he has all the abilities to do fancy things. And just in comparison with elite quarterbacks, Carson Wentz can make great throws. He's an extremely talented guy. But he doesn't do it safely. Carson Wentz is that guy who drives his car recklessly and ends up paying the price for it. Because often he has to carry his team due to the lack of talent. And while I think talent-wise he's worth every single cent of that $32 million, I think sometimes he tries to do too much, like as we saw in the Seahawks game, where he tried scrambling and he got hit in the head by Jadeveon Clowney. But that's not completely Carson Wentz's fault. But I do believe that he gets himself in situations where a smarter quarterback really wouldn't be in that type of situation. And that's why I don't think he's worth that type of money. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles should either try to make a change in Carson's mentality for the way that he plays. Maybe try to throw the ball more, stay in the pocket, make smarter choices. Because extending plays is great, and that's exactly what you want out of a quarterback that you pay $32 million. But not when it comes at the expense of the guy's health, considering that this is a really bad division. The NFC East, it was up for grabs at one point. While it's very unlikely, even the Redskins could have went to the playoffs. And I think that just shows how bad this team needs their quarterback. If their quarterback is healthy, I believe that the Philadelphia Eagles would have beaten the Seattle Seahawks, considering that they were in that game even with Josh McCown playing. And in addition to that, I really want to commend Josh McCown for that awesome performance. He looked like a Walmart Patrick Mahomes out there. And that's a compliment to a guy who's 40. And he was making good decisions. He was avoiding pressure, and that's the way that Carson Wentz should be using his mobility in order to avoid pressure. But if the play's not there, you just got to throw the ball away. And either the move that I want to see from the Philadelphia Eagles is either to make a roster change, either to trade away Carson Wentz, because they can't win like this. Let's be honest. The one time they won the Super Bowl, Nick Foles put the final nail in the coffin by beating the New England Patriots. Carson Wentz really hasn't accomplished much, to be honest. And I think it's evident through the last 4 years where Carson Wentz has been the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles that the Eagles will not be going anywhere with him unless they make a philosophical change, unless Carson Wentz makes a change in the way that he plays the game and tries to become a more safe quarterback. I'd really like to talk about the Saints right about now. And I think it's kind of the polar opposite of what's going on with the Eagles. Drew Brees has all the talent in the world right now. He's a guy who can stay relatively healthy besides that thumb injury, but then again, how often does it happen that a quarterback's going for a throw and a D tackle just kind of injures his thumb? Not a very common injury. It happens. Drew Brees has been relatively healthy for the rest of his career. And what I think about this is Drew Brees has so many weapons to help him out. Jared Cook, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, all top 5 players at their positions at the moment in the league. Because, Jared Cook has been playing great for the last half of the season. Absolutely amazing. And, Drew Brees isn't using the talent that he has on his team to its full potential. He played a terrible first 3 quarters. Taysom Hill had more offensive production than him. And it really brings up the question, is Drew Brees really, the future of the New Orleans Saints? Because, to be honest, I think Teddy Bridgewater would have won that game. He adds that mobility, and, it kind of goes to show that the game might be moving away from these type of quarterbacks. And we saw that demonstrated just in that game. Kirk Cousins, actually, even though he didn't have the greatest statistical lines in that game, he looked amazing out there. Scrambling off, he was confusing the defense by scrambling out and rolling out and throwing passes. But Drew Brees really couldn't do that much with it, and that's the reason that quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson are successful. It's just something that teams have never seen before, and because of that, it works. Who knows how long it's here to stay? Maybe in 20 years, the league's going to revert back to quarterbacks that don't run for some reason, because maybe that might become more successful in the future. But this isn't about where the game might go in the future. It's about where the game is now. And it seems like the game is moving away from Drew Brees, despite the fact that he has all this talent. And, what I really want to see from the Saints is to start finding a suitor for Drew Brees. To find a heir for his job. And because, he gets it done in the regular season, but we've seen nothing but disappointment for the past 3 years otherwise. And, that may be coming down to several missed calls or something like that. But you can't let something like that decide your season. You can't let your season come down to the fact that, oh, this penalty was called and we couldn't make it. These weren't game-ending penalties, were there? Were they? And I actually liked the no call in the Vikings game, considering that, both of the players, they were getting physical with each other, and there wasn't enough contact to actually, draw a penalty. And I think that was just the referees letting the players play football. And, what I think about Drew Brees is right now is he gets the job done in regular season games. And, he's statistically one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But is he really? Does he have the production of any of the other all-time greats? I've seen people talking about it all the time. Oh, Aaron Rodgers is a better all-time quarterback than Tom Brady. Drew Brees is a better all-time quarterback than Tom Brady. And sure, in certain statistical aspects, they may be better. But have they ever shown up in the same spots that Tom Brady does? And that's why I think Drew Brees' legacy is kind of negatively impacted with this season. Sure, he played great games as soon as he came back from his injury, but he has all the weapons in the world. He's 42 years old. He has tons of playoff experience. He goes to the playoffs with all these weapons, and he lays an absolute egg. He gives his team nothing. He lets a backup quarterback who plays wide receiver, tight end, defensive tackle, linebacker, even punt returner. He's blocked a punt before. He lets that guy outplay him. And I think that just goes to show the game is moving away from true. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for watching, but it seems that's just about the amount of time that we're gonna have. I don't want to keep the episodes too long because it might be troubling to take that much time out of your day to listen. And well, I'll make sure to have an episode on all the divisional playoff games in by Saturday. And I'd just like to thank everyone for watching. See you on Saturday, guys.